Hey there. Welcome to Toy Talk with Mike and Chad, episode 68, I think.
Yes.
I'm Mike,
I'm Chad.
and the toys that we're going to be talking about today are some miscellaneous stuff. Primarily Chad's miscellaneous stuff.
Yeah.
I did a miscellaneous episode last week where I kind of showed you guys all the random odds and ends that I picked up, and now it's Chad's turn.
These have been things that have been sitting in my pile of loot for quite some time.
Yeah.
Actually, 3 months.
Yeah, Big Bad Toy Store. Even though they don't sponsor us, they probably should because we talk about them a lot. But yeah, we buy a lot of stuff on Big Bad, and they have their pile of loot function where you can pile things up and ship it all together to save on shipping. And yeah, you got 2 boxes from Big Bad or just 1?
No, I had to ship them separately because I didn't have enough money to ship them all at once.
Okay, but yeah, you got a pretty big haul here. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, so go for it.
So I don't typically collect too many reaction figures. I was browsing on Big Bad Toy Store one day, and they were having a sale, and I came across a figure that belongs to one of my all-time favorite properties, and it is the Alien franchise. So this one is the warrior in stealth mode, and it's from Aliens, so the second movie. And I think he was like $5, so it was like 10 Canadian, roughly. Like for that price, that's what a reaction figure should sell for. Something that tiny.
Yes. Although it is kind of deceiving through no fault of Big Bad's, but I have bought some things because I see a thing and it's like, oh, that's only $5 or $7. But being Canadian, the conversion, we pay an extra 40 cents on every dollar. So yeah, something that's $5 is more like $8 or $9 for us. And then the shipping, even if you lump them all together, shipping from Big Bad, you're at least paying like say $40 or something for a pile of stuff. And then we always get dinged on customs charges. Did you get dinged on customs on this one?
I would not like to share how much. Yes.
Yes, and like you don't have to share, but I've been dinged for $60 at the door, $50, and you don't really know until they show up, and you're like, God damn it! Like I already paid a lot of money for these toys, and I paid for the shipping, and now I got to pay this extra amount. That all of a sudden this $5 toy doesn't feel like a $5 toy anymore, but I get it.
Both boxes combined, it was like 80 something in customs, which kills me.
That's brutal.
So for such a big Alien fan, I actually don't have any Alien figures. He's pretty cool. I'm happy. She?
I don't know. The Alien Queen is a she, I think.
Yeah.
Probably these are dudes.
Yeah.
His head is basically a giant penis anyway.
Yeah.
With
spikes on it.
Yeah, it's not a... I was going to say not a pleasurable penis, but maybe that is ribbed.
Studded or ribbed,
ribbed for her pleasure. I have 2 of these. Like I collect a lot more reaction figures than you do, but the first ever reaction figure I got is actually the first ever reaction figure they produced. The first line, and this is back when Super 7 was paired with Funko, so that it had Funko branding on them, was Alien. Because the whole thing, there was supposed to be a line of Alien figures back in like the 70s or 80s, and they never made them. And so they got this idea, like, why don't we do those retro style figures the way they were intended? And that kicked off the whole reaction figure thing. And so I thought that was a pretty neat thing at the time. So I bought the first ever Alien Xenomorph reaction figure, which I still have. And then I have since bought one of the repaint versions where he's they did blind boxes. And I've got this kind of like translucent purple one. But yeah, this guy's cool. He's kind of like gold.
And I think like the hype is coming back to me because Alien Romulus comes out in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. So I'm excited for that movie.
I hope it's good.
Me too. Even if it gets terrible reviews, I will still go see it and support the franchise.
Yeah, and we don't usually talk a whole lot of movies on this channel because we're too busy talking about toys. But San Diego happened not too long ago, San Diego Comic-Con.
last week.
Yeah. There was a few things. There was like comic. There was movie news and everything, but they did show the new Hellboy trailer. Did you watch it by chance?
I did.
What do you think?
I'm not a huge Hellboy fan.
Yeah.
Of the other movies, I would have to say I was more of a David Harbour Hellboy fan than Ron Perlman.
Yeah.
This, I would probably still go see it.
Like, I love Hellboy.
Yeah.
The Hellboy and the BPRD and all the various spin-off comic books. Fantastic. I love that whole universe. And I don't think they've got the movies right yet. I think they did 2 animated movies. I don't know if you ever saw those, but those were probably the closest thing to the comic books, and they were pretty good. I like the the Guillermo del Toro ones, but and a lot of people really like those. But it was kind of they changed it from the comic books quite a lot, and I liked how the one with David Harbour, they were trying to be a little more faithful to the comics. Books. But it had a lot of its own problems, some really sketchy special effects.
Yeah.
Some weird music choices.
Yeah, really strange.
Yeah, like most people hate that movie. I don't think there's too many people that claim to be fans. I like it.
Yeah.
I think it probably isn't as good as the other 2. It's different, though. So that's why with this third one, like they showed the first pictures of dude in the makeup a month or 2 ago, and a lot of people online we're being shitty and like shitting on it. I don't think there's anything wrong with the makeup. The makeup looks fine. And yeah, the trailer, I was hopeful. Like it looks like smaller scale, which is fine because a lot of the Hellboy, it's not always about stopping hell from taking over the earth. I'm kind of tired of seeing that. They did that in all 3 movies were about him like taking on the throne of hell and he had to snap his horns off and everything. This one looks like it's just going to focus on Hellboy going to hunt down a monster, which is what a lot of the stories were. So I actually have a lot of high hopes for this movie. But anyway, I took us off track. That just popped in my mind here where you were talking about Alien, Romulus. On to your next story.
All right. So a couple episodes ago, we were talking about how far Jada Toys has come in the action figure line because they used to just be die-cast cars, little dinky cars. They started their Street Fighter line and then the Mega Man line, which I collect.
Yeah.
And once the second wave of those figures get released, I'll bring the first 3 figures and the new wave over to talk about them.
Okay.
However, this is the Street Fighter line, and I said from the get-go that because they've produced such good quality figures, I will
want everybody to see your beautiful face there, Chad.
I will support them with whatever they put out. And my first Street Fighter figure was the Dalsum and the M. Bison one. Yeah. And then I'm going to eventually get Chun-Li and Ryu and
all of them.
Feng Wei or Fei Long.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ken, he was the better of the ones that were available. So I picked him up. Although I do hate, I'm not a fan of his like face that's on him right now.
The smiley face?
Yeah, it looks like he's got this nervous smile.
Yeah, so he's got a smiley face and an angry face.
Yeah.
Then he's got his big fireball.
Yeah. Dude.
This guy's cool. Like I'll be honest, like I like all the Street Fighter characters of the early. Yeah. Like back when there was only like 12 characters. By the time it got to like, I don't know, 30 characters, I don't even know who a lot of those guys are. But I am tempted to maybe get those initial.
Yeah.
Because I don't consider myself a hardcore Street Fighter guy. I'm not a gamer guy. So I bought Chun-Li and I loved it. It was one of my favorite figures that came out last year. And then I got Dalsum this year and he's awesome. And then, you got M. Bison. Now you've got Ken. They all look really nice. And they revealed a few of these.
Oh, absolutely.
At San Diego, they showed a bunch of them. They showed E Honda and they showed Blanca and Cammy. Those are all characters that I would be interested in getting. So, yeah, I could definitely see myself maybe not going all the way on this line, but definitely getting like 10, 12 figures deep. That wouldn't be hard to do because they're great. Really nice. And it's a nice scale. And these guys are a nice price point. It's reasonable.
Yeah, $29.99 for us here in Canada. And that's what a figure should be.
Yeah, like Marvel Legends here, they're probably average about $35, $36.99 now. So these guys are a little bit smaller. But yeah, at $30, they have lots of accessories, alternate heads, blast effects. They come with stands. Like you get more bang for your buck with these than you do with most Marvel Legends. And they're great. They're fun. They're bright. They're colorful. So yeah, this is a great line for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited about this line. And like I mentioned, the quality of these action figures is top shelf. Like they don't seem to reuse parts, mainly because, all the characters have a different physique in this game.
Yeah.
And just the attention to detail. It's so worth supporting
they
them.
Pose really nicely and everything. Yeah, like I already reviewed him in a prior episode, but Dalsum has the wired limbs. It's really cool.
So that's my
hats off to Jada Toys.
Jada Toys plug.
Yep.
Also, feel free to sponsor us if you're watching. I highly doubt
Send us free stuff, Jada.
So the next random thing I have is
we did talk. You've got a couple of Marvel guys, but I've got a bunch of Marvel guys that we're going to save for another episode, probably.
Okay.
So yeah, hold on to those. Forget you saw that.
You saw nothing. Okay.
Yeah, these aren't the toys you're looking for.
Yeah, let's actually jump right into this guy, and then the rest of my stuff will be DC, and you have a figure you can talk about as well. So I am a huge The Last Ronin fan. I think NECA has been
haven't read it yet.
I think NECA has been doing a phenomenal job with their Last Ronin line and even their Turtle lines.
And that's confirmed as a live action movie now, right? They're doing Last Ronin.
Yeah. It was speculated for a while, and then just the popularity of everything just kind of threw it over. So, anyways, this is the Last Ronin Casey Jones figure. So he comes with a bunch of cool accessories. He's got 3 extra sets of hands and then a single hand. He's got his hockey mask. He's got a spare head that makes him look like... What's Buddy's name from Better Call Saul?
Oh, the main guy?
Yeah.
Odenkirk? Bob Odenkirk?
Bob Odenkirk. Makes him kind of look like Bob Odenkirk. And then he's got the head that comes with him. He's got his huge golf bag. Comes with a cricket paddle, a baseball bat, another baseball bat, a hockey stick, and what looks like some sort of mallet.
Pretty typical for a Casey Jones. Even back to the vintage figure, he came with a bunch of stuff to put in his golf bag. I don't know if I see Bob Odenkirk there, but sure.
Maybe mixed with Walton Goggins.
More of a Walt Goggins, yeah. Yep, no, this guy's cool. I like the kind of the wash they do. It looks like comic art. They put these really heavy black lines in it and stuff.
Like I said, NECA's been super awesome with their turtle figures. I am excited. We both collect comics as well, so TMNT just launched a new #1.
I picked it up.
I picked it up too.
I
haven't read it yet. I just got it today. So I'm excited to see what they do with that because it features one of my all-time favorite artists, Joel Jones.
Yeah, it looked good.
It did look good.
And I was like the writer, Jason Aaron.
Yeah.
I thought his stuff was awesome for a long time. Like he started off doing indie books, like his book Scalped was really good. And then in some of his early like Marvel stuff, and he was doing like Ghost Rider and Wolverine, it was all like really good. I was less impressed with the stuff he's done in more recent years. Like his Avengers run kind of left me flat. I stopped reading his Thor run kind of halfway through. I was just like, so I was hopeful to see him maybe this would reignite something in him. The first issue was I read it. I liked it. I thought it was kind of a weird place to start a Turtles new number one because I had collected the Ninja Turtles comic book from IDW for almost its entire run. I didn't know it was going to end at 150, and I think I stopped buying it around 130. So I went pretty far into it, but I didn't really like the direction that it had been going. There was a new writer that took on the book at issue 100.
Yeah.
So the first 100 had one kind of style, and then the 100 onwards was kind of a little bit more like a.
And they, what does.
Yeah.
Sophie Campbell. Let's call her Sophie Campbell.
Yeah, so Sophie Campbell was the writer, who's a brilliant artist, by the way. But her writing just didn't really click. And it wasn't bad. I did enjoy some of it, but it was a little bit more slice of life. Like, the Turtles were doing things like Battle of the Bands and stuff instead of fighting ninjas. It just got a little too much like an Archie comic book, and I just kind of lost interest. So when I heard that Jason Aaron, who's got a history of doing some grim and gritty stuff, was going to be taking over Ninja Turtles with a new number one, I thought it was going to be a whole new universe relaunch, but he is just picking up from where Sophie Campbell left them, and it's a weird first issue for a lot of people that maybe didn't read the last 150 issues. For them to pick this up and think like, oh, this will be a good place to start, they might be left scratching their heads a little bit.
Kind of like me with Spawn when he released the new Spawn books. Like, go back to issue whatever of this, and I don't know. I think like there was a brief time when I stopped collecting comic books and got rid of my old collection and everything, which I regret doing. It was a space issue.
Space is always an issue.
So I missed getting on the boat with that TMNT because I wasn't collecting at that point.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until a couple years later I was like, man, I should have jumped on that. Anyways, I've been trying to track down the trade paperbacks. It's almost impossible to get some of them without going to the secondary market. And I'm very, I don't want to say anal about that sort of stuff, but like there can't be page bends or anything. And I'm terrified that it's going to get damaged because I did have a couple I ordered from Chapters show up damaged and was like, ugh. Yeah. And now they're out of stock. So anyways, that being said, I was excited to see the new number one. And again, big fan of The Last Ronin, the Lost Years comic that they have. And they recently started The Last Ronin 2 Re-Evolution.
And that's the thing, like, I want to read this. Obviously, I've heard nothing but good things. But I was buying the IDW series as trade paperbacks. So I would wait every 6 months, get a new collection of the last 6 issues or whatever. And when they did Last Ronin, which is set in a different universe and everything, but still, I was like, well, I'm going to collect that as a trade paperback, especially since it's a mini-series. That makes even more sense for me.
And it's the two original creators, Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird.
But I to this day, I still don't think they've put out just a standard softcover.
It's hardcover.
It's only this like hardcover, which has got all this bonus material, which I'm all for that. I'm glad it exists, but I don't collect hardcover comic books. They just don't really fit into my collection. I have, a whole shelf full of softcover Ninja Turtles. I just want to put Last Ronin in there, so I've been waiting for a softcover release. But the fucking movie will probably be out before I even get a chance to read it. So anyway, cool figure.
Yeah, I'm psyched. I love anything TMNT, really.
I just love everything.
I do love everything.
All right, so I do mine?
Yeah, do yours.
So I did an episode of My Miscellaneous Stuff a week or two ago. So that covered off most of my rando stuff. But I got a rando thing like 2 or 3 days ago. I went to GameStop, and they had these original sketch Ninja Turtles, is what they're calling them. So these guys are based off not the original sketch, because maybe not to everybody, but to fans like you and me, I think we're pretty familiar with the original sketch. Like, you've heard the story of Eastman and Laird. They were kind of college roommates or whatever, and like one guy drew a turtle, the other guy took a stab at drawing a turtle, and then they decided to make it a team, and they drew a picture of 4 turtles. And so this guy is based on the first drawing of the 4 turtles.
Yeah.
It's not the original Ninja Turtle sketch, but still close enough. And yeah, there's just something so goofy and kind of weirdly like.
Well, why would you ever think of a turtle eating pizza, right? And like, being a ninja.
Yeah, I don't know how they came up with the concept from the get-go, but like,
it's charming.
It's charming, but like we're so used to the Ninja Turtles looking a certain way.
Yeah, 80s cartoon.
80s cartoon is, because like I didn't grow up reading the original Mirage comic books because they were indie and they were hard to find, and I was young.
And black and white.
Black and white, yeah. So they weren't widely published. I don't know if my local comic shop here in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada, even had them. It's just like I just didn't hear about them. So it really wasn't until the cartoon and the Archie comic book that I heard of Ninja Turtles. But I'm well versed in the lore now. So I know as soon as I saw these toys were coming out, I knew exactly like what it was based on. I'm familiar with the look. They look weird, like compared to what we're used to, but I like it. Like it's fun, and I like that it's kind of a piece of history in plastic. Earlier this year, I bought the Todd McFarlane first sketch Spawn figure, which was based on the sketch of Spawn he drew in high school. So it doesn't really look like the Spawn we all know from the comic books. But I just thought it was so cool because I was familiar with that sketch. I'd seen it before in like either in the back of Spawn comic books or in Wizard magazine, 30 years ago, when Todd McFarlane talked about, oh yeah, this is a character I created in high school. These are the original sketches. So after all this time for him to take that original sketch and put it into plastic as a toy, I thought it was really cool. And now here I'm getting this, an original sketch Ninja Turtle.
How much did this cost?
$17.99.
That's a steal.
Yeah, he was cheap.
The only thing that I wish would have been different is the tail placement, because it looks like he's just got his man junk hanging down.
Yeah, I don't think he's the first Ninja Turtle to have that problem.
No, he's not.
Yeah, they have a little green tail that pokes down between their legs, which I didn't notice that, to be honest. But
now you can't.
That's where your mind goes. But yeah, he's got like 2 swords. The 2 sheaths, they separate from his belt, so you can plug those into his belt so he can store them there. He's got a display base with a manhole, and he comes with this little canister with ooze that you can kind of sit on the display base as well. And so that's pretty cool. So I saw this guy, and I saw the price. I was going there to pick up a pre-order because some of my DC Superpower figures had come in, and I wasn't really expecting to buy anything else. But then I saw this. They had this one and the Donatello. They didn't have the other 2. But as far as I can tell from like kind of looking at the pictures online, I think all 4 figures are identical. The heads and everything.
Just the weapons.
It's just the weapons that are different and the colors. And if all 4 of them had been there, I might have bought all 4, just because it's kind of sucks to have 1 or 2 Ninja Turtles when there's only 4 of them. But I didn't want to buy just the 2, so I thought, well, Leonardo's my favorite turtle, so I bought him.
I'll have to get the Donnie.
Yeah.
I was always a Donatello guy.
If I had thought about it, I probably should have bought him for you, but
that's okay.
Yeah, if it had been Michelangelo or Raphael, I probably wouldn't have bought any of them. Just not that I don't like those turtles, but when I was a kid, I had Leonardo and Donatello. My brother had Raphael and Michelangelo, so he has kind of more of an attachment to those ones. These guys were my guys, and the fact that they had the 2 of my guys there, I was like, oh, geez, do I buy these? But it felt weirder having just Leo and Donnie in my shelf than just Leo, if that makes any sense.
It does.
So, yeah, I got him. He's really cool. He's definitely good value for what you pay for him. And when I say $17.99, again, that's Canadian price. This guy's probably like $12 in the US or something. So, yeah, if you find him, pick him up.
Yeah, he's super cool.
Hey, before we get into your DC stuff, have you seen the new Ninja Turtles that are coming out that are kind of Origins style? So
yes.
They're taking the original Playmates toys except they've added elbows and knees and stuff. Are you going to buy those when they show up?
I believe so. That is the plan.
Yeah, again, I don't know if I want to go too deep, but I'm tempted to at least get the 4 turtles. Although, have you seen that they've got this weird texture on their skin?
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, but
It's weird.
I mean, they're turtles. I have to do it.
We haven't seen them yet, but I've been seeing lots of people online that have been picking them up. They're showing up at like Walmarts and stuff. So hopefully we get them before too long. All right, on to the DC stuff.
So the same sale that Big
Alien?
Bad Toy Store had with the Aliens figure.
Yeah.
They had a bunch of DC Direct pieces there, and the only reason I can figure that they might have been on sale for as cheap as they were is because these were pre-Todd McFarlane DC Direct. So these are like pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Is that how did McFarlane just get the license during COVID? Is that
during COVID? It was like last year, the year before.
Okay.
We have the DCeased line, which I think is super cool. I'm a big like zombie fan. These guys aren't necessarily zombies, but
what would they be?
This is the Flash. They're undead for sure. So maybe they are zombies.
Yeah, they don't look like vampires, so I would say he's a zombie.
But I just think it's such a niche concept.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't read any of the DCeased stuff.
I have them, but I haven't read them yet.
Okay. Yeah, this is a cool Flash. And to be honest, I miss the DC Direct stuff.
Yeah, me too.
Like, McFarlane stuff, and we're going to talk about some McFarlane stuff in a minute. And he's done some pretty cool stuff. But I really don't like that his figures are so out of scale with everything else. When I see this Flash, I immediately think, I could put him on my shelf with all my Marvel Legends, and he would fit right in there. Which, as a huge Marvel Legends collector, that's kind of what I think about. Yeah, my G.I. Joe Classified fit with them. My Star Wars Black Series sort of fit with them. They're a little off. But, yeah, McFarlane stuff is just way out of whack.
The multiverse is 7-inch, which is an awkward number.
An inch makes a big difference in an action figure world.
It does.
And maybe other worlds, too. But
and the DC Direct versions that he's put out now are 6-inch scale. So it's like, why can't you just keep a consistent scale? Because now there's a couple DC Direct figures that I had. They're going to look terrible because they're going to be shorter than the multiverse line. So again, space, I'm going to have to...
But this is a good, classic-looking Flash.
Yeah.
I assume this was a classic Flash figure they've changed, gave a new head and everything. But, like, that would have been a pretty solid Flash figure to have, even if it wasn't a zombie. I feel they could have gone a little harder, to be honest with you. Like, maybe this is what he looks like in the comic book, but basically all he's got, other than a bloody mouth, he's got a tuft of hair. Like, you think they could have had some exposed ribs or something.
Yep. I agree with that.
So they kind of went a little lazy on the zombie. But
I didn't get the Supergirl one, which I want to circle back and get because I think she looked the best out of all of them.
Yeah.
But up next we have the DCeased Superman, who also pretty cool looking.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that guy? Right away, the thing that bothered me the most is the red paint on his upper thighs.
Mm.
Like, they should have made that blue because now he's just got 2 red stripes there. I realize that it's supposed to be part of the shorts or the diaper, but
yeah, that looks a little weird.
It
doesn't look good at all, actually. But same thoughts as with Flash. Like, this is, like, to be honest, I think that Flash is a great base Flash. This Superman, I think he's a little skinnier than I would like my Superman to be.
Yeah, I see Superman as being
he's got more of a Christopher Reeve physique. He's a little slender. I don't need Superman to be a muscle man, but I like him to be a little buffer than this. So yeah, this guy's a little thinner than I'd like for Superman. The head sculpt is nice, and clearly, like, this wasn't a normal Superman that they just painted bloody. Like, he's got these scratches sculpted into it, but again, still a little cheap. Like, give me a bone arm or something, like exposed fingers and bones or something. Like his uniform's not even ripped anywhere.
I know, and well,
Like how did the zombies get him?
I'm not a huge Superman fan anyway, but
Blasphemy. But yeah,
I had to buy him. So sticking with the DC Direct, I guess. Let's go to the DC Essentials Rebirth Batman version 2. This is probably one of my favorite books right now, currently. I mean, I'm a little biased because it is Batman.
Is that the Tom King Batman, the Rebirth Batman?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm on issue 109 now, I believe. So I am post Tom King era.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't read a lot of Tom King, but I don't think I was really into what he was doing. I would not count myself among Tom King's fans, per se. But the artwork was nice.
The artwork was very nice.
Who was the artist at the launch of...
At the launch, it was...
some, like, Mexican guy or something?
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a nice basic Batman. I like it's a little weird, but he's got a purple inside of his cape.
Yep.
That seems like a little bit more like the Count from Sesame Street or something. I don't think Batman traditionally has purple inside of his cape.
Not that I'm aware of, but I think it makes it pop just a little more.
Yeah.
They could put out 100 million different versions of Batman like they do, and I would, within reason, buy the majority of them.
Yeah. And it's funny, even on the back of this package, it says DC Essentials is a line of 7-inch action figures. But this guy doesn't look like 7 inches to me.
He doesn't.
This looks like a 6-inch figure.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he is 6 inches. Yeah, even these guys all say a line of 7-inch action figures. But they're definitely smaller than McFarlane's standard figures.
Yeah. So these were like $8.99.
$8.99? Yeah, that's
on sale. So it'd be like 13. And again, I'm just assuming that's why they were discounted.
Yeah, that's a good haul. Now you've got there. In my last episode, my miscellaneous episode, I reviewed a DC figure from McFarlane because I don't buy enough of them to do a whole episode about it. But one of the figures I reviewed was the new Darkseid. He's like a deluxe big figure. Now, when I picked mine up, I picked up one for Chad as well, which I just gave to him tonight. So you're just seeing Darkseid.
I am.
And I saw you were just going to brush him aside, right? Because I already talked about him.
Yeah. So this is mine. This is the first time I'm seeing him. Love the classic artwork on the back.
Yeah.
And I was just saying to Mike before we were getting ready to film this that his belt actually looks like an elastic band that they put on lobsters on their claws.
Yeah. Which to us in the Maritimes in Atlantic Canada, that's a common thing to see.
Yeah.
A lot of you people are probably like, what are you talking about, bands on lobsters?
Or what's a lobster?
Yeah.
Yes. Anyways, feel free to insert a picture of a lobster with the bands, maybe.
Right.
I love this guy. He is huge.
Well, so that's the thing. I was going to let you brush him aside because I don't want our loyal viewers to have to sit through another review of this guy necessarily. But you and I were both very excited about this guy.
Yeah.
When I opened it up, did you watch me talk about it? Did you watch that last episode? And when I opened him up, I was like, ugh, he feels a little cheaper than I wanted him to. I definitely have some gripes about this guy, and I wanted to get your kind of just initial thoughts of, here he is, give him a little bit of a handle.
Oh, he does feel cheap right away. Like, look how loose his foot is.
Let's think, his ankles are really loose, and his toe is loose. So he's hard to get him to stand up, because as soon as you put him in there, he's he's tall, and so his weak ankles, he wants to kind of like fall
It's like
over.
my Arkham City Joker.
Yeah.
Where he was just like top
and
heavy.
move his arms around a little bit. Like, he has no butterfly joint, so you can't move his arms in. But I was messing around with his arms just a little bit, and it popped right out of the socket.
Yeah, I can see where I'm not.
So it didn't stay in there very tightly, and like where you want to turn his legs, like to try and get him to stand up better.
I
Right,
don't.
right where he has a boot cut because he has these really like thigh high boots. You kind of want to. You think there would be a swivel joint there, but there's not. So he doesn't really. He doesn't move much at all, really. And when you do move him, like his elbows are really stiff. And he makes a lot of noise. You might be picking
Yeah,
that up. I noticed it when I was editing my last episode.
there goes the
Yeah, his
arm.
arm just popped out. He was squeaking all over the place when I was handling him. He was just like, he's got this weird. He's one of the noisiest toys I've bought in recent years.
Yeah, this is actually like he looks cool in box, but this is actually a pretty shitty quality toy.
Yeah, like, and I don't want to be too negative because I still think it looks
It looks
great.
amazing.
And honestly, he's just going to go on my shelf and he's going to stand there. But look, his arm just comes out really easy. And somebody messaged me in the comments after, and they're like, "Did you find his arms kept falling off? You're the only reviewer I saw that didn't complain about his arms falling off." I was like, "Oh, really? Is it that widespread a problem?" Because I'm like, "Yes, actually, after I filmed the video, I was trying to just pose him, and his arm was popping out." And so I haven't watched anybody else review this figure,
I
but
haven't either.
apparently other people are complaining too.
It
So
almost feels like it's a build a figure because any of the McFarlane build a figures, those have the ball. Let's call it a ball joint where you pop the ball in and it either falls out or it doesn't move. It's hindered. And this one, like that, to me, that's a shitty figure.
yeah, like when I saw this guy go up for pre-orders and we both scrambled to get it, I thought, well, this guy, just by looking at him, I can tell this guy's going to be contender for my best of the year list.
Yeah.
And he might squeak in there based on his looks alone, but he's
Unintended.
yeah, yeah, unintended. But like I always do a top 20 of the year. So if he makes that list, I think he's going to be in the lower half of that. Like he'll be maybe 17, 18, something like that. When I thought he could have been a 1 or a 2. It's just the quality just isn't quite there. So
And that's typical McFarlane. Like you have such amazing abilities to create wicked toys.
mm,
And that's partially why I stopped collecting them for almost a year because
yeah,
like I opened the first few ones and like space is a real issue in my apartment. It's tiny. So most of mine were in boxes and then like I started opening them and I'm like, man, these are cheap pieces of shit. And then
yeah,
I saw a couple like release last year. I think I got back into it and they started to improve and but like that's just a step backwards for me. I
yeah.
don't like it.
It was kind of a bummer.
All right. This last toy is a big one for me. I am obsessed with this character. And if you watch us regularly, usually at the end of the year, we talk about our wants for the next year,
Mm-hmm.
like what we would like to see in action figure form. This character has been on my list the last 2 years since they were introduced in the current Batman comic.
Yeah,
It came as a 2-pack, which originally I was super hesitant about because the initial pictures online made this character look super butchy, like huge butchy face, and I just wasn't a fan. The Joker, I have my fair share of Jokers, so
yeah,
to me, whatever. That's not the star of the show. The star of the show is Punchline.
yeah.
Now, she, in the current Batman
Now
book,
you guys might not be able to see those great, but if you're not familiar with Puncline, there's a better shot of them on the back, and I'll do a split screen in here anyway. But yeah, she's like the Joker's.
new girlfriend, you
Yeah,
could say. Um, in the current Batman book, there was an arc, and Harley and the Joker kind of parted ways. Spoiler alert. And Punchline came in, and she's just I looked at her right away. She was created by one of my favorite artists, Jorge Jimenez.
Yeah, great artist.
I love his Batman work, and pretty much anything he touches, I will always support. Um, but yeah, I looked at her. I thought it was such a cool concept to have a new kind of villain, an original villain, and yeah, I was excited. So I've been wanting a Punchline character for over 2 years now, and earlier this year they announced it, and then again with
And she lives up to your expectations.
she does. She's not as butchy as I thought she would be,
No,
and
she looks good.
the man, like, I can still see some of that original man face they had in there, but it's not as dominant as it had been.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I considered pre-ordering this, and I didn't. And then when I went to pick up our Dark Side figures from GameStop, I was surprised that they had one of these on the shelf because I expected this to be a hot commodity. And I was like, "Oh, should I get it? Like, there's still one there." And I think the price is pretty reasonable. Like,
Yeah, for two.
Yeah, it's $50 Canadian, and one figure from McFarlane is like $30. You know,
Oh no, now they're $45.99.
All right, so this is basically a free figure almost, and so yeah, it's pretty good. But I didn't, and I kind of regretted it when I left. I'm like, should I have got her? And then I went back, probably like 4 days later to pick up my DC Superpowers pre-orders, and I picked up that Leonardo.
Gone.
Still there.
Still there.
Still there. And I picked it up again, and I was like, oh, geez. And they had a couple other ones I was wondering about. They had the Metallo in the red and green.
I canceled mine.
And I was like, ooh, this Metallo is kind of fun. And they also had like a Tim Drake that looked really nice. Yeah. And I was like, ooh, this Tim Drake Robin looks good. And I was like, so I had Leonardo in my hand. I had this in my hand. I had two other DC figures, and I was like, no, I can't. I've got so many pre-orders that I knew were about to hit, and they have. Literally, while we were filming an episode, this is our third episode that we're filming tonight.
August 1st, 2024.
Yeah, this probably won't be up until like 2 weeks from now. So it'll be like the 14th or something. But anyway, we're sitting here and we're filming, and my phone is just buzzing like crazy. And I was like, who is texting me like right now? Anyway, I had to I looked at my phone, and it was just like all of these notifications of like, your box is shipped. Your box is shipped. Your box is shipped. All these pre-orders are all hitting at the exact same time. And that means my credit card is getting cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching with each one of those. So for that reason, I resisted. I put her back. I put Metallo back. I put Robin back. I got the Leonardo because he was cheap. Yeah. But, yeah, I bet this will be gone by the next time I go. And then I'll probably be like, oh, shit, I should have bought it. So I am a little jealous. It is a nice figure.
It is a nice figure. I'm glad I got it finally. It seems okay in box. I'm really hoping when I take her out of the box that, you know, there's no flaws. I'm just starting to gain trust with Todd again and making like decent quality toys, and then I see that dark side, and I'm just like, you know what? I'll be very disappointed.
You know what? Here's a hot take for you. Because one of the reasons, like, if she was a single carded figure, even if she was probably like $39, I probably would have bought her. Mm-hmm. Just because this character, I like her too, and she has never been made into an action figure form before. This is the first time ever. But having to buy a Joker figure that I don't want, like, deters me. I'm like, I don't want this Joker figure. It's not even like a bad figure. Like, it actually looks pretty decent.
But it's a free figure, pretty much.
Pretty much, but I don't like the Joker. You know, I'm just gonna say, if you're allowed to say that you don't like Superman,
all right, we're done here. Yeah,
I'm gonna say I don't like the Joker.
It's not that I don't like Superman. I just think he's really cheap.
Now with the Joker, I've loved all of the versions in live action.
Yeah.
I think, well, maybe not Jared Leto's version, but like, everybody's done a really good job with him. and I think he's good in small doses like
Yeah.
that. But as a comic book character, I groan every time he shows up in a Batman comic book. I don't really want to read his adventures. I just don't think he's a great villain. And I know this is not a popular opinion, but like he just doesn't really fit with Batman. And I know that's kind of the thing. They're supposed to be opposites or whatever, but like I don't think the opposite of a bat is a clown. I just don't like they. I never really got it. I don't really like the way he looks. I actually the only Joker figure I have in my entire collection, and I have probably tens of thousands of action figures, is I have a Hot Toys figure of the Heath Ledger version of Joker. So that's like a 12-inch doll with cloth clothing. I don't have any other Jokers from any other toy line because I don't like them very much. So there you go. That's what I think of the Joker. But another reason why I didn't want to get this is I have really been liking the DC Superpowers figures that he's producing. When he first started putting those figures out, I thought it was going to be a very short-lived kind of flash in the pan.
Still around,
but it's still going, and he's still making new like vehicles and multi-packs. I think that it's probably gaining more fans as it goes, and I'm starting to wonder if I really should be buying any more of this scale because they were already out of scale with most of my collection. That if I bought this Punchline and then 6 months from now he announces he's going to do a Superpowers Punchline, which I already have a pretty good sized Superpowers collection, I'm like, well, did I even really need this one? I'm actually even debating on canceling my Ragman. I pre-ordered the DC Multiverse Ragman, which I was excited about because, like you said on your end of the year list, you've been wanting her. We did an episode a while back where we said like our top 10 most wanted DC figures, and Ragman was on my list. He's a character that I don't think has ever had a toy.
I don't think so.
And I've wanted one for a while. McFarlane Multiverse is releasing a Ragman, and I pre-ordered him. But this collection is so small for me. I don't have a big multiverse collection. They don't fit in with my old DC figures from DC Direct, and they also don't fit in with my other collections like Legends. That I'm like, maybe I should just wait and hope they do a Ragman and Superpowers line and leave it at that. But we'll see. Undecided. Well, here's my Ragman figure, so obviously I decided to pick him up after all. As I mentioned earlier in this video, we were shooting it on August 1st. I am shooting this insert on August 19th. So it's been a couple of weeks since we shot those 3 episodes. I've been kind of staggeringly editing them and uploading them. So I'm hoping to upload this one today. I was just doing the editing, and I thought, well, you know what? I might as well stick Ragman in here anyway, since we mentioned him. I picked this guy up probably about 9 or 10 days after we shot that video. So yeah, this is my DC Multiverse Ragman. Now, if they do release a smaller version of him in the Superpowers collection, I will still pick it up. But this is going to be hopefully one of the last DC Multiverse figures I pick up. They're decent figures. It's just not scale I'm super passionate about. But anyway, I just couldn't pass this guy up because I do love Ragman. It's a character I have wanted for a long time. There's no guarantee that they're going to release another version of him in the Superpowers line. So I wouldn't want to miss out on this, my perhaps only chance to ever own a Ragman. And even though it's very simple, like you see his body is just a very plain, simple body with no sculpted detail. It could be the same body they've used on a number of figures, including the recently released Ambush Bug, which was just a plain green body. I'm not sure about that, but it would make sense if it was. You can see he's got these rags painted on him, only on the front. The back is completely plain, which just seems kind of lazy. Then he's got the soft goods cape. It is wired, so you can pose it and it will hold its shape. I do like how they've got it all, frayed here on the sides. I think it looks pretty cool. This seems a little excessive, this rope. I don't necessarily think it looks bad, but it just seems like a little much. And I do like his head sculpt here, even though it's just a simple masked head. But he does have a hood, and it's also wired, so you can kind of display that how you want. But I think that looks pretty cool as well. Now, he came with This stupid display stand with a card. I have no use for this at all. I'm probably just going to throw this in the garbage, which is kind of a piss off because you might have noticed where I put in the insert shot of the box. It's a larger box than the usual figures because they charge a premium. They call this like a platinum collection. And it's basically just because they gave me this extra piece of junk that they charge me more. Then he also comes with the standard little DC Multiverse stand. And his only other accessories are these two little translucent pieces, which are supposed to be him shooting his little patches of rags at people. So you can put one of these on each forearm like so, and they kind of wrap around, and that's his his rag powers at work. So it's all right, but especially for a premium figure, you think they could have maybe given us a little bit more, maybe at least one set of alternate hands or something, so he could have two fists or two open hands. I don't know. They also could have probably put some paint on the back, so the rag pattern continued throughout. But anyway, I think this guy's pretty cool. I am glad I picked him up. And back to our regular program. Not bad.
I'm stoked about her.
I haven't read a lot of her. You've read does she even have any powers, or she's just a knife chick?
Just a crazy, batshit crazy woman.
Crazy chick with a knife.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Which is why I like her, because she's just
you like crazy
she's like
chicks?
she's like Harley Quinn 2.0, basically.
Yeah.
Just this crazy and demented. Although I did start feeling really bad for Harley.
Oh yeah.
Just before Puncline was introduced, and then definitely after Puncline was introduced. Great run. I would recommend it. But I also have to pare down what I'm purchasing right now.
It's getting out of control. And just looking at just the G.I. Joes.
Well, yeah.
We have like 24 G.I. Joes on pre-order.
6 of them on their way.
Yeah, there's, if not more than that. I think we have 7 in the mail at this very moment. And we're expecting a couple more to hit. And then we have a bunch more on pre-order. We're hoping to get that San Diego Comic-Con Cobra Commander when he goes up on there for sale. It's just just collecting G.I. Joes is enough to put me in the poorhouse.
Yeah.
And yet I collect Masters of the Universe, DC, Ninja Turtles, Transformers, so many other things. It's too much.
And I'm just getting back to work too and settled, right? And now there's a possible threat of strike action. So I'm going to have to start really tightening up those wallet strings. I don't use a purse.
Yeah.
I have to be selective. So I went ahead and canceled a bunch of pre-orders the other day.
Okay.
One of them was the Dick Grayson Batman that they just launched.
Right.
Which I didn't need that anyway.
Well, see, that's a good... I think we're pretty much done, are we?
Yep.
So I was going to tell our viewers here to make sure to like and subscribe and to leave comments, because all that engagement helps the channel. It gets us in the algorithm. It recommends us to more people.
It gives us ideas to talk about.
The more people that watch, maybe we can kind of if we could break through and actually start getting these toy companies to send us these toys, that would be fantastic. So, engage with us so we can maybe get some free toys out of these companies. But I think we're quite a ways from that happening.
Yeah, I'm not quite sold on that idea yet.
Yeah. So anyway, subscribe, comment,
like us.
I'll see you next time. Ciao.
Keep collecting.